man, this is worth doing. And I remember the day it really hit me was when someone commented on one of the shows that I did with a friend of mine. And yeah, I think that was the first time. That was the first time I felt that was worth it. If you started a YouTube channel today, what would the next 12 months look like for you? When I started my YouTube channel just over 12 months ago, I thought it'd be pretty simple. You create content, you get some subscribers, and eventually grow. But little did I know that I think my expectations versus reality didn't quite align. And because it was messy, it was unpredictable, but at the same time it was rewarding when achieving some of the things that I learned along the way through my YouTube journey. So I just kind of wanted to touch on and kind of dive deep into sharing parts of the journey, my YouTube journey, as I kind of spoke about 3 areas in a live stream that I did recently. And one of the first things I was talking about was the last 12 months and what that looked like for me. So when I first began my journey, at the beginning, I was more of a consumer for content, and I'm truly grateful that everything that helped transform my life was through YouTube. So what that did for me was kind of help me to look into reading the self-help books and working on my own mental state, applying some of the steps and the exercises from some of the books that I read, like my first 2 books. I think I've mentioned it a few times in some of my videos, where The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind and the book Limitless by Jim Quick, and Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And these 2 books pretty much helped transform my life, helped me to improve my mental state, and also helped me to implement routines that would benefit me both mentally and physically. But just to circle back towards over the last 12 months of what my journey has been like. Like, I originally went in wanting to do podcast shows only because I had wanted to kind of discover and understand more about mental health. Because for someone like myself, as a Cook Islander, we were limited to understanding what mental health was. We always assumed it was a mental institute. You just had to stay away from places like that and you wouldn't be affected. Little did I know it was actually us, our own mental states. Not realizing that was what mental health was, whether it's heartbreaks or depression, suicidal thoughts. And forgive me if that's triggered anyone with those thoughts of stuff like that. But that was kind of the areas that we never really understood as a Cook Islander. So that was kind of what led to me starting a YouTube channel. First, it was the appreciation that I got to transform my life from what I received through YouTube, which began my own transformation, to read the books, implement the steps and strategies to work on myself, like my own personal routine that I developed over time to make sure it was trying to start each morning and each day on the right foot. Because most times we're so caught up in, as soon as the alarm's off, we're up, we're bouncing out of bed. Sometimes we either forget our lunch, all we got to do is follow that alarm as soon as as soon as it goes off. And I'm sure you can kind of relate that we always seem to be chasing the alarm, wanting to get up and quickly like avoid being late. And that was something that I experienced of until I started reading these books, realizing like, wow, it was actually from The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, where it spoke about some of these affirmations that I would practice. And still today, I do with them. And one of them in particular is, I always say each and every morning, my inner world creates my outer world. And then it's like, I have a millionaire mind. But anyway, I think I'm going off track. So I just kind of wanted to take you back to the beginning of where it all started. First as a consumer, and then a content creator when I finally decided that I actually wanted to just pay it forward because of what I received through YouTube. And hopefully it would lead to helping even just one person to begin their own journey. But if you can work on yourself first before you want to get into content creation, I think the benefits will definitely help you in the long run, knowing that you get to look after yourself. Because over the last 12 months, it's a grind. It's an absolute grind. So if you seriously want to get into it, then by all means, look after you first, here, and physically, because you're no good to anyone if you're not there completely, either for your family, for your loved ones, friends, your community. Maybe you've got your own community and they really rely on you to be there for them. So yeah, I think that's kind of what helped me to like really, okay, it's time to step up tile, let's get into it, and slowly break down or share the journey of what that's been like through the whole process of when I signed up with YouTube and then started to create content. And I only kind of went down the pathway of just podcasting. So for the first 6 months, it was pretty good. Like, I was really getting into it, even though I had no idea what I was doing. But over time, I was learning new skills. I realized that I had to get some better audio equipment. I ended up purchasing a couple of mics. This is one of them. I've got another one that I've already got kind of set for my podcast shows, where they clip onto the end of the round table. And these ones are just the handheld ones, where they're pretty simple to just talk about whatever's on my mind and share my thoughts and other things. But yeah, so getting back to it was, I was able to learn how to edit. I had to watch a lot of YouTube videos again and learn from guys like Anthony Gallo. He was brilliant. If you ever get the opportunity, or you've probably seen his ads, 14-day filmmaker, I highly recommend you check him out. It is absolutely worth learning all the tips and tricks from him. And over time, learning all these skills for the past 6 months, my first 6 months of my YouTube journey, was it was quite challenging. It was rewarding, and it was scary at the start, but the reason why I wanted to continue with it was because what I got to experience when I learned more about understanding mental health and attending these different groups of men who are, going through their own struggles. It made me realize that there was a gap here, and I just wanted to bring it to light and, raw, authentic, in such a way that I think it's unique in its own way, and the way that I've kind of brought it to light. Even though I still wonder if I'm doing it right, and and sometimes, yeah, sometimes you're looking for things of like, man, is this worth doing? Like, I don't hear from anyone. I don't get comments or anything. Well, I didn't. Um, I didn't at first, but you get one comment, because I would create these shows, and then I would send the link to my guest just to let them know, hey, here you go. Just any feedback, I'd appreciate it. And then you'd see it on Facebook, and then the comments being made. And I remember the day it really hit me was when someone commented on one of these shows that I did with a friend of mine. And yeah, I think that was the first time. That was the first time I felt that was worth it. I broke down. I broke down because no one cares, man. No one cares how much work you put into something like this. And for me, I was following my heart. I had to do something like this, and just to see that one comment lit me up to like, man, this is why we do it, Tal. And so, it's what's kept me going. Those one comments that I get, it's not about the numbers of having millions of subscribers and that. It's those one comments that you get like that are just so, for me, empowering to keep going, keep pushing through. Sometimes I try to get guests, and the calendars, our times just don't align. We can't catch up, but I still always try to find a way. And so, yeah, the first 6 months was a hell of a ride. And then the next 6 months after that, the start of the new year, this year in 2025, we were doing great. Managed to kick off a few guys joining me on the podcast in January and February. But then come March, man, life gets in the way. I was almost homeless. I was out of work, and I realized, like, shit. Like, do I continue pushing through, or do I just give up altogether? Because I just wasn't working. Just felt like it wasn't working. I kept thinking to myself, nah, I can't stop. Doesn't matter, I don't have everything or anything going right now, but I just can't give up. So I managed to get, I think, around April, when I started to like, oh yeah, okay, let's get back into it. Managed to get a couple of guys to join me on the podcast again. So there was like a break for about a month or two. And when I finally got the two who joined me, it was like I shot two on that same day, because it was a father and a son who were sharing their story about how they were able to reconnect through our ancestry DNA. And for them to share their story, it was like back to back. By that time, I was feeling a bit rusty, because it was like, oh man, I hadn't been podcasting for a while, and it's like any exercise. If you don't continue doing it, you kind of feel the pains, the aches and pains the next day. The next day, thinking like, oh man, that I didn't realize how hard that was going to be. And I was kind of like a similar feeling, like thinking, man, I was so nervous, but yeah, everything's just kind of came together, and we pulled it off. But then technical issues happened. My laptop crashed, and at the same time, I had no work, so I was I was looking for work. I didn't want to just look for any kind of work. I just wanted to just kind of do part time work. Once I finally landed some part time work, I had a couple more weeks, about a month, saving up for getting a new laptop because unfortunately my other laptop had just yeah um seen better days, but unfortunately sayonara. And I was so gutted because I just couldn't get on top of trying to edit my shows, and at the same time my channel was starting to drop off with views in there, and I really didn't want to give it up. So lucky enough, I had a lot of long form videos through the podcast shows where I could just break it down and just create shorts, and that's kind of what kept it going. And it was like I said, mainly it was my approach was just podcast shows. But so last couple months, there's been some hit and misses with getting a lot of getting some of the guests to join me on the show, but I've still managed to get people to join me and share their stories because and I believe in the power of stories. There's a message in there and it resonates with someone who can relate to maybe some of the struggles, the pain points of what this individual spoke about and what they did to improve that situation, which then can lead to someone else, taking those next steps and helping themselves out in improving whatever it is, the situation that they're in. So yeah, that was kind of what over the past 12 months have been like for me. And so I just thought I think it was time to finally just start sharing my story and actually sharing my journey of YouTube, the benefits of what I've seen, what it's done for me, and to hopefully share just some of the steps that I've, you know, taken on board to try and improve each step of the way. So, like I do have a few things that I wanted to point out of why I felt like, oh yeah, I think it's time to actually, get serious with creating some of the content in such a way that's valuable to someone, to take the time and let them know that yes, you can do it. But from my perspective, I believe that if you can work on your own mental state at the beginning, you can kind of then overcome some of the hurdles and the challenges throughout the process of your YouTube journey. Because that's kind of what I felt like. I should have signed up for courses, but I couldn't afford it at the time, and I still didn't want to because I actually wanted to experience the whole YouTube journey. And then, over time, if it's to learn how to identify some of the areas that I easily missed, this is kind of why I went with this approach. But don't get me wrong, somewhere down the track, I probably would like to collab. But right now, I just kind of wanted to just talk more about my journey and then look back at it, learn from what's been said, what I've shared, and then gradually improve in the deliverance. So yeah, that's kind of what that's been like so far. And like, got a few things that I did set up, which I was supposed to go over, but didn't feel like me. But there are some key points in here that I hope you get to take away. So some of the, I suppose, key lessons. One of them is consistency matters, but it just, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, my content's never perfect. So there's a few videos, there's a couple more videos I'm going to have to break down and share that with you. But right now, it was just what the last 12 months have been like for me. And also the small wins, like the small wins compound. And it could be things like learning a new skill, leveling up with your audio, learning how to edit. Little things like that over time, you will definitely see the growth in, like, oh wow, I can do this, I can do that. Oh, I can just, like, when I get to tell people, like, here's a quick sample of what I'm talking about. When I video record the podcast shows, I use my phone because that's what I'm using for the time being, and I've got this portable audio. And then I tell people, yeah, so look, this is how it works. I set up my phone, records us as the show goes on. My audio recorder there, and I said, and then I get to sync it all up on CapCut, and then they just, they go and sync, and Bob's your uncle. And to me, it's like cool that I get to share that information with them, and then when they get to look at it and go, oh wow, that is pretty amazing. So yeah, the small wins, they compound over time, and it's from those little things like that that you get to learn throughout the journey. And then the growth is slow, but the journey still builds resilience. And so that's kind of some of the things that I think some of us, and the way the world is evolving today, it's information is just, we just want it quick, we want it fast, we want this to happen now. And if it's not for you, like listening to this or watching this, then that's okay. But not everyone's smart or intelligent, and if it's not for you, then maybe the next person is wondering, like, oh, I always think it's for smart people. No. Hell no. I think there are some young YouTubers that are just making like a killing out here, and everyone's just enjoying their content. So everyone who's creating content has their own story and message in it. It's just up to you of what one fits with you. And so these are just some of the things that I wanted to kind of share with you of this first breakdown of what my 12 months has looked like. And then what you can do, whatever resonates with you, then, that's pretty cool. So I'll be breaking down the next two videos, which will be covering recognizing the small wins to keep me going. And then finally, if I'd start all over again, what would I do differently?